Hello, so this is going to be a kind of tutorial on how to kind of fix this lumbar support, because I really love this Hinomi chair, but I mean, I read reviews online. A lot of the reviews on YouTube specifically is kind of promoted or sponsored, and a lot of them don't really say it. They just kind of link an affiliate link without even the customers knowing it. But I always check Reddit for reviews on anything that I buy, and a lot of people on Reddit say that the lumbar support is pretty bad, and I will say it is pretty fucking bad. But there's so many features on this chair that I wanted, because my desk is kind of in the middle of a doorway, so being able to kind of fold it and tuck it under my desk was a really big thing that I really wanted in a chair, and it has a leg rest, which is a must for me at this point. So I just went ahead and bought it, and I spent maybe 3 days trying to adjust this chair, and the lumbar support was already pretty bad, and I kind of just want to avoid the return and also just keep this chair. I really want to keep this chair because of the features, like I said. But wanted to fix the lumbar support. Checked Reddit, checked it online, checked anywhere. There's not really anywhere or anybody who knows how to do it, or at least tell people how to do it. And I just managed to figure it out in the last 10 minutes here. So I wanted to make this video and teach whoever needs to know it, because I know that there's a handful of people online who also kind of really want to share with the same features, or people that are stuck with it. So I hope this can help. And typically I don't do these kinds of videos, but so bear with me, especially since I'll either prop up this camera in weird positions or end up having to do this one-handedly. But we can kind of get into it. So I already kind of took it apart, but I tried to put it together in a reasonable way so that I can still kind of guide your way through it. But essentially, this piece of plastic was over this area here, and all you have to do is kind of get a flathead screwdriver or kind of anything. I don't like marring things, so as long as it's thin enough, it should pop off pretty easily. And then the next thing you can either do, I guess, is there's going to be 4 screws here. So you're going to end up taking these 4 screws out, which I'll go ahead and try to do one-handedly. If not, I'll just put the phone down. So once you manage to get those 4 screws out, you can kind of see the mechanism. This little thing is, I'll take the spring off here. You can go ahead and take the spring off as well. This little mechanism's kind of determining how much that lumbar support will go back, and that cutout is at the lowest point. That cutout is essentially getting blocked by this little piece of plastic, or this rod, and this little piece of plastic around that rod. So so I think the best thing to do is either, you can kind of take this by steps depending on how much lumbar support you actually end up wanting. You can either just take these plastic pieces off, which I'll show you how to do. You can either take these plastic pieces off, or you can just end up taking this entire rod out. I mean, it's going to end up kind of removing the adjustability of it when you take this rod off. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for the solution, you're already using this at the lowest point, and you're not really going to be adjusting it any further than it already is. So to manage to get this rod out, all you want to do here, let me put this back here. So at the ends here, there was this piece of plastic, and then you are just going to pop it out, and in here were these screws. And then you kind of need 2 Allen wrenches because it's on both sides, and as long as you can kind of hold both and twist it, or you can kind of get a kind of get a adjustable wrench and hold this still while you're unscrewing that. You can get those screws out, and then these plastic pieces are kind of a, I don't know if it's pressure fit or there's like an edge on it, but you kind of just have to whack it out here. Whack it out. Pull it really hard, and then the one end will come off, and then you should be able to get off of here. And you can kind of take these plastic pieces out. So you can kind of tell, let me see here. Kind of tell that now that lumbar support's kind of going back much further, and because that bar is kind of out of the way, it's allowing that lumbar support to come back a lot further, and it should help. This plastic piece here is going to end up running into the back plate, not the back plate, but the piece under the back plate. This is going to end up running into that. I can kind of show it here. Let's see. So as soon as I put this on fully, as soon as I fully seat this, you can see that it kind of moves up a little bit when it's screwed on. And you don't want to let that loosey, you don't want to leave that loosey-goosey. So if you wanted to, you can end up, I guess, dremeling off some of this plastic, and then this thing will allow you to go back even further. And then if you want to get further than that, I'm not too sure if you really can, because at that point this plastic is running into where it connects with this. This plastic is running into the plastic of the actual chair. All right, so just an update. I went ahead and actually went for the most possible, I guess, the least possible lumbar support strength or aggressiveness to it. So what I did was I did end up taking this part out and cutting off that kind of protruding piece, and it was pretty easy. I just used like some, you can probably use some clippers, like I use nippers, or you can use like some kind of wire cutters or pliers, and the plastic is actually pretty easy to cut, which is not what I was expecting. But it was pretty easy to cut. And then what I noticed from sitting down on it with the spring was that it actually, even though you can go deeper with the lumbar support, because the spring is so strong, it's kind of hard to kind of even reach that depth. So, okay, so I'm kind of editing this video, and I just wanted to re-clarify some things, and I apologize for the poor editing because it might seem all over the place, but I just wanted to clarify one thing. To say that you can run at Ace Hardware and kind of buy a different spring, a shorter spring or a lower gauge spring, so that it can the lumbar support can kind of push back a little easier. But honestly, the easiest way, I kind of gave up on looking for the right spring size and the length. Just leave the spring out when you disassemble it. And it's worked pretty well so far. And one thing I didn't mention was, in order to cut that plastic off the bottom of this piece here, you're gonna end up having to take these 3 Allen bolts, and the best way to do that is you kind of set the upper back support to the lowest point, and you should be able to get to that 3rd bolt up there. But you take those 3 bolts out, you can take this mesh lumbar support off, you can get this plastic piece off on its own, and then you kind of cut it and just make sure you cut it flush, and then just screw everything back together. I had a reassembly video, but it's pretty self-explanatory. But one thing I did leave out was make sure that you do end up taking these screws out here as well and putting them back in whenever you take this lumbar support off. But you want to put that plastic piece in and get those screws in, put these bolts in with to test the lumbar support, leave the spring out, make sure you leave the spring out, and then reconnect this. So essentially all we did was take out that adjustable handle. That bar is in the way, so it kind of lets this come back even further. The plastic piece is going to end up hitting this back plate, so you're just gonna want to trim off the part that contacts this back plate, and then I think that's going to be the most you can do I hope that helps whoever is either stuck with this chair or really wants this chair and is just really afraid of the lumbar support. Again, I kind of just figured this out, so we'll see if this really helps, but it definitely feels like it does. But again, with any chair, it's kind of hard to tell unless you kind of sat in it a couple hours and a couple days even. So please share this to anybody who ever needs it, but I hope I can impart this knowledge on whoever finds it useful. Alrighty.